In this video, we are going to find the quiet students in all exams. Hello, this is Jagan from Grow with Data. I am posting this video to share my knowledge in SQL with you. If this assists you in your interview preparation anyways, I will be happy. Welcome to the 48th video of our Advanced SQL 50 Interview Question series. We have different topics to cover and we are now covering the topics related to CTE and Windows function. This video will be tagged in Advanced SQL 50 Questions playlist and the code we discuss in this video will be uploaded to the GitHub. The link for the GitHub page will be in the video description part. Now let's see the data set and we can talk about the question in detail. So we are given two tables, student and exam. Student is like a lookup table. We have the student ID and their corresponding name. And the exam table have the exam ID and the student who took that exam and how much marks they scored. So here the primary key for the student table is the student ID. Here the primary key is the student ID and the exam ID combined to form the primary key. Now what they are asking us to do is we have to find the quiet students in all exams. So let's see what is the definition of a quiet students. Before that, let's create this table. Okay. So now if you see this data set, we have 3 records for exam 10 and 1 record for 20, 3 for 30 and 3 for 40. If you see for exam 10, the lowest score is 70 and the highest score is going to be 90. And 20 we have only 1, so the lowest and highest is the same. And for 30, 70 is the lowest and 90 is the highest. Same for 40, 60 and 80. So we have to find the students who did at least one exam and haven't got the score of either its highest or the lowest. If you see this, we have the student 1 who got the top lowest score and student 3 got the highest score. So here student 1 got the highest score. So out of this, how many students we have? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So out of 1, 2, 3 and 4, student 1 is having the highest score, the lowest score and the highest score, right? So okay, let's go this way. So student 1, he got the lowest score here, the highest score here, the lowest score here, the lowest score here. So he is in the bracket of highest or the lowest. So he is not our guy. If you see 2, he got the middle score and here the middle score, neither the lowest nor the highest. So he is the guy who we looking for. And for 3 got the highest between, but still we got one highest, so this we are not going to consider. And for 4 got the highest and here is also the highest, so he is not the guy we are looking for. So out of the 4 students, only the student 2 is the person, our student who had a exam, at least one exam, but the score is neither the lowest nor the highest. So this is what we have to track. So what are the steps we have to do? First, we have to find for every exam which one is the highest and which one is the lowest. And then we find the students who got the highest or the lowest and ignore those and get the rest of the students is what going to be our answer. The expected student is 2. So we have to bring in the student ID and the student name. So student ID is 2, so the name is going to be Jade. So this is what going to be the output. So how to get it? Let's start with our CTE function. First thing is, for every exam, what is the minimum score, what is the maximum score, right? So that's what you have to find. Select from exam, we find the student ID and then we get the minimum score, which is minimum of score as min score, and the maximum part, max of score as max score. Since we have the aggregation function, we just say group by 1. So if you see this, for 1, 60 and 80, for the every exam, right? So for every exam ID, which one is the minimum score, which one is the maximum score? So for 10, 70 is the minimum, 90 is the maximum. So 10, 70 and 90. Same for 20, only one record, both are 80. So minimum and maximum is 80. For 30, minimum is 70, maximum is 90. For 40, it's 60 and 80. So 70 and 90, 60 and 80. So we got the first point for every exam, the minimum and the maximum score. Now we have to find the students who got the minimum and or the maximum score. So we create the CT table with raw data as. Now we are going to find from the exam table, inner join the CTE table, raw data on r dot the exam ID should link with the student table, the exams main tables exam ID, and the score, right? For every student we just say the E dot score is not equal to the minimum score, the R dot minimum score, and the E dot score is not equal to R dot maximum score. So we are going to find the students whose score is not the minimum or not the maximum. Get all those student IDs. E dot student ID, and we can find the exam. So E dot exam ID. So now we got the 2, the exam ID is 10, and here 3 exam ID is 30, and 2 the exam ID is 40. So we got all the 3 records, right? Now if you see the count of the exams for every student, the count of the exam ID as what is the valid exams, and then we just say group by because it's an aggregation function. Now what happens for students 2, we got 2 exams which is valid. For student 3, 1 exam which is valid in the sense which is not the min or max, right? So we got the count. But if you see the overall number, student 2 got 2 exams, right? 1 and 2, and student 1 got 1, 2, 3 and 4 exams, and student 3 got 1, 2 exam. So if you just keep this as a second CTE table, you can say qualified exams or data set, right? So this is the second one. But if I take the overall student ID and their total exams, right? So we can say E dot student ID, and if they count their exams, E dot exam ID from exam E group by 1, right? Now I get for every student what is the overall exams they took. For 1 it's 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. For 2 it's 2, for 3 it's 2, and 4 it's 2. Now I am going to count this number whether it's going to match with this number. If the students all the exams falls under the safe zone, like not the highest, not the lowest, then those numbers should match the overall part. If it's not matching, for 3 we get only 1, right? The other 2, so this one is gone, right? So the number is not going to match. So that's what I'm going to test. I'm going to say select from this data set A, inner join this person, right? The overall count, say B, on this B dot student ID equal to A dot student ID, and the student ID should match as well as overall exam. So the overall exams should match the valid exam. If that matches, that means none of the exams fall under the lower or higher. So that's what I'm trying. So b dot the overall exam equal to a dot the valid exam. So who will get this number matched? Only for the student ID 2. So a dot student ID. So if I run this, only the student 2 got the valid exam count. And then if I want to get the name, then I have to join with this table. I can join here or after the end, but inner join student, you can say here on s dot student ID equal to a dot student ID. So I get s dot student name. So for 2, the Jade comes up. So if you see this, it's the step-by-step procedure. So first we find for every exam what is the minimum score, what is the maximum score, and then we see out of all the students how many students exam score is not the minimum or the maximum, right? If it and the maximum. So if it's minimum and or falls under minimum or maximum, you ignore those student IDs exam ID. If it's not, then you count those valid exams, and we see whether the valid exam value which matches with the overall exam count for each student. If it matches, then we say yes, that student is not having any exams which falls under the minimum or the maximum score. So we can take that as the output. So here I'm just aligning to make sure you understand it properly. Okay, so this is the query which brings in all the exam counts for the student and then compare with the valid part. Okay. So here we did in 2 steps: exams maximum count and students with valid exams, and then you compare. So here if you say not equal to this and not equal to this, right, I can do a small change here. E dot score not in r dot minimum or dot maximum, should not be in any of this. You will give the same result, right? So you can put 2 conditions by like this or not in class, however you prefer, right? This is the normal CTE function where we go step by step process. Now we are going to see the Windows function. Let's see how to do that in Windows function. Let's comment this out. Okay, so Windows function, we know normally we use rank, row number, dense rank. You know difference between rank and dense rank. If not, you can see the previous videos. Now I am going to do the ranking part based on the score. So this is from the exams table. You can say E dot student ID, and then you can say E dot exam ID, right? E dot exam ID, E dot exam ID, E dot student ID, and score. Oh, ID E dot score. So this is the given data, right? Okay, we will put exam ID as the first one, so we can just have the group and bring in the student ID next. So for 10, we got this 20 and 30 and 40. Now I am going to use the dense rank over partition by every exam, right? So every exam you reset the number and then you order by the score as minimum score, you can say minimum rank. So if I run this, If you see for every exam, which one is the minimum score? 70 is the minimum score, so we got 1. And for 20, 8 is the only record, so 1. For 30, 70 is the minimum score, so we got 1. And for 40, 60 is the minimum score, so we got 1. So the minimum rank works. And then we are going to use the same thing and we are going to say the maximum rank, right? So whichever is the highest, give the score as 1. Oh, comma is here. So now if you see, for 10 the minimum score is 70, so you got 1, and the maximum score is 90, so you got 1 here, and 20 only 1 record, so both are 1. For 30 minimum score is 70, it's here, and for 90 it's here. So what we do, all this star, right? So here the first one is 1, and then here the second one, the maximum is 1, and here both are 1, there's only 1 record, and here the minimum, so 1, and the maximum part, this becomes 1, here 1, and here the maximum part is 1, right? So instead of bringing it here, the minimum and maximum, right? Last time we were bringing minimum and maximum score, right? So instead of that, we can just say score, so we can just combine that, minimum score, maximum score, right? So we are ranking that. Now if you see, if it is 1, that means it should be minimum or maximum, right? So we are going to use the same logic. Just create a CT table, raw data as this. If I say select student ID from the raw data where the minimum score equal to 1 or the maximum score equal to 1. So if I do that, what happens? It will bring all the students who got at least 1 score in minimum or 1 score in maximum. I can say for distinct for our convenience. So we got 3, 1 and 4. So 3 is here, 1 is here, 4 is here. So at least 1 record falls in that category, we bring this. So here we did the score and then we use that as the filter. We are going to do the same thing. So these are the students whose score is at least minimum or maximum 1 part. So I am going to use this as a filter. I am going to say select from the exam table. So we can say select e dot student ID from the exam table where the e dot student ID not in this class, right? So whoever got the minimum or the maximum score, those students you ignore, bring other students. So we got the student 2 because 2 records for the student, right? So here is 1, here is 1. So we got 2 records. So we simply say distinct of it. So we get this DASTINCT. So we got 1 record. Now if I want to join the student name, so I bring in here, I can just say student name. So I say yes dot student name. On, okay, on student ID equal to e dot student ID, sorry. Empty, yes dot student ID and not in student ID from the raw table. So this subquery, I don't know why it's not working. Let's do one thing. Let's create a CT table here. You can just say filter ID as, you can keep it here, and student ID not in select student ID from filter ID, right? So we got the record. So basically we get all the exams and then find which one is the minimum score, which one is the maximum score, and then we are getting all the students who got at least the minimum or maximum. So if I can remove this and then run this one, it will give me all the students who got at least one minimum score or the maximum score, and then I am using that as a CTE table, and I am getting a filter condition saying that student ID should not be in the list, which is here, right? We just did the part, the filter one, we just took it and then make sure those students score is not matching with the filtered score. Same way, we just say those students should not be in the list where they have minimum score or the maximum score, right? So this is a subquery part of it. I can change that to a left join here. Instead of a CTE table, I can just take this off and say this and then left join the same SQL. You can say A on A dot student ID equal to the E dot student ID. So if the student is not in the subquery table, then it will be null. Say where A dot student ID is null. If it's null, that means those students are not in the minimum or the maximum score. If I align it, it will be much better to understand. So first thing, we just did the rank part, the dense rank. The reason for rank and dense rank, if there is more than one student with the same score, we make sure we bring those also. If we put rank, then we'll miss that, right? Okay, so this is the dense rank part. After this, what I'm saying is, from the exams table, you get all the students who are not in this part, who have at least one minimum or maximum score. If those students are in that list, then you just ignore it. Students who are not in that list, that means the subquery table will have a null student ID. Bring only those null student IDs. That means those are the students who don't have any score which falls under minimum or maximum. So you can go with the complete CTE table, or you can use the Windows function and do that in one step. So if you want to practice this code, then this code will be in the GitHub page where you can go. This will be in advanced SQL 50 interview questions. Hopefully, okay. So in the description part, you have the GitHub link. If you click on the GitHub link, it will take you to the corresponding code base. For that video, this is the code base, and we're talking about the 48th. So it is here. You got the create statement and you got the expected output, and the first where we did the subquery part, and then we did the Windows function, and how we tried the left join. So all these are here. You can use this for your practice. If you want to join the WhatsApp channel, then there's a link here for the Grow Data WhatsApp channel. You can join this, and I will give some updates whenever I post the videos. You can see that in the WhatsApp channel. Hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.